Preston Hartley adjusted his gold watch for the fifth time, staring at the empty chair across from him. It was 8:30 p.m. on Christmas Eve at Riverside Bistro. Around him, couples laughed, but Preston sat in humiliating silence. He checked his phone one last time. Still, nothing from Jennifer, the woman his business partner swore was his perfect match. The reservation had been for 7:30. An hour of total silence, marking his ninth failed dating disaster this month. At this point, he believed the universe had a personal grudge against him. A waitress with auburn hair approached, setting down an unrequested glass of water. Her green eyes held a sharp mixture of sympathy and amusement. "How long are we pretending the invisible woman is just running late?" she asked directly. Preston looked up, startled. "Excuse me?" "Look, I've been watching you check your phone every 30 seconds, she said, pulling out her notepad. "I'm Olivia. And you clearly got stood up. On Christmas Eve? That's cold." Preston let out a dry, defeated laugh. "Is it that obvious? Honey, you folded your napkin into a tragic-looking swan. The signs are clear." Olivia smiled warmly, her tone shifting. "But no one should suffer alone on the holidays. I'm making an executive decision. Order the braised short rib, and I'll keep you company between my orders." True to her word, Olivia returned every 15 minutes, sharing hilarious stories of her own dating disasters. For the first time in months, Preston actually laughed. When she found out his Christmas plan involved microwave dinners and infomercials, her face fell. She grabbed a napkin, scribbled an address, and pushed it toward him. "This is crazy, but come to my family's Christmas dinner tomorrow. My mom makes enough food for an army, and we are only moderately dysfunctional. No pressure. Just show up." Preston stared at the napkin. Why invite a stranger? Olivia met his eyes with sudden seriousness. "Because I've been stood up before. I know how it hurts. And you deserve better." The next day, Preston found himself standing outside a modest house covered in multicolored Christmas lights. Nervous, he gripped a bottle of expensive wine and a box of chocolates. Before he could talk himself out of it, Olivia opened the door, wearing a ridiculous Christmas tree sweater, and pulled him inside. The house smelled of cinnamon and roasted turkey. Olivia's mother, Ruth, welcomed him with a warm hug, instantly treating him like family, while her younger sister, Sophie, immediately started teasing them both. Preston was amazed. His own childhood had been cold, structured, and lonely. This house buzzed with chaotic love. During a tight-squeezed dinner, Ruth asked Preston why a successful software CEO was having such bad luck with dating. Preston looked at Olivia and said softly, "Maybe I was looking in the wrong places." That evening was filled with wild board games and endless laughter. As Preston helped Olivia wash the dishes, he whispered, "This is the best Christmas I've ever had." Olivia smiled, her eyes reflecting the kitchen lights. "You're not a stranger anymore, Preston." The very next day, they met at River Park Cafe. For the first time in Preston's life, talking to someone felt completely effortless. The conversation flowed so naturally that neither of them noticed 3 hours had passed. Olivia wrapped her hands around her hot chocolate and asked, "Preston, you work 70 hours a week. Why?" Preston looked down. "Because business makes sense to me. Relationships don't. Until I met you, I forgot how to just talk to someone. I want to take you on a proper date, Olivia." Olivia touched his hand across the table. "I'd love that. But promise me one thing, if you ever feel that loneliness creeping back, you call me." "Deal?" "Deal," Preston whispered. For the next few months, everything seemed perfect. But life isn't a movie. By the time autumn arrived, the dark reality of Preston's world crashed back in. A massive security breach hit his company's biggest European client. Panicked and falling back into his old survival habits, Preston shut down. He started working 18-hour days, ignoring Olivia's calls, and canceling Sunday dinners with Ruth and Sophie. The old wall was back up. Preston was drowning in his work, entirely forgetting the promise he made her. One rainy October night, Olivia showed up at his penthouse. She looked exhausted, holding a box containing the key he had given her. "You skipped my mom's birthday dinner, Preston." "No text, nothing," she said, her voice trembling. "Olivia, I'm trying to save my company." Preston snapped, gesturing to the stacks of legal papers. "You don't understand this level of responsibility. I have millions of dollars on the line." Olivia flinched as if struck. "No, I don't understand millions of dollars. But I understand a promise. You're doing exactly what you did before, hiding behind your success because you're terrified of being vulnerable. I told you to call me when you felt lonely, not push me away." She placed the key on the cold marble counter. "I love you, Preston. But I won't lose myself trying to pull you out of a hiding place you choose to stay in." She walked out, leaving the penthouse entirely silent. For 2 weeks, Preston was miserable. The crisis was solved, but his victory felt completely empty. He stared at his expensive furniture and realized Ruth was right, money couldn't buy a family. He had let his past trauma ruin the best thing that ever happened to him. He didn't need to fix his business, he needed to fix himself. He never begged. He never pressured her. He simply kept every promise he had once broken. He worked less, showed up for Ruth's Sunday dinners, and slowly proved with actions, not words, that he had changed. He knew he had to earn her trust back. December arrived. Preston knew Olivia was working the late shift on Christmas Eve. He walked into Riverside Bistro at 8:30 p.m., but he didn't sit at their old table. Instead, he walked straight into the bustling kitchen. Olivia was tying her apron when she saw him standing there, holding a plain white paper napkin. The kitchen staff went quiet. Olivia froze. "Preston? What are you doing here? You can't be in the kitchen." Preston didn't care about the rules. He held up the napkin. On it, he had written a new address, the address of a small, cozy house he had just bought near her mother's neighborhood, far away from his cold penthouse. "A year ago, a brave waitress gave me a napkin that saved my life," Preston said, his voice thick with emotion. "And when things got hard, I turned back into a coward. I am so sorry I broke my promise, Olivia. I don't want a perfect, successful life if you aren't in it." Olivia's eyes welled with tears. Preston. Preston didn't wait for a fancy restaurant setup. Right there in the middle of the kitchen, between shouting chefs and dirty dishes, he dropped to one knee. He pulled out a velvet box. "I don't want a predictable romance. I want our beautiful, chaotic reality. Will you marry me, Olivia?" A chef dropped a metal tongs, breaking the silence. Olivia looked at the ring, then at Preston's anxious face. She burst into tears and laughed. "Yes. You idiot, yes." The entire kitchen staff erupted into cheers and applause. Later that night, sitting at the small, overcrowded table at the Bennett house, surrounded by mismatched plates, laughter, and enough food to feed an army, Preston raised his glass. He had stopped looking for a perfect life, and instead, he had finally found a real one. Beneath the dinner table, Olivia quietly slipped a folded paper napkin into Preston's hand. He opened it under the soft glow of the dining room lights. It simply read, "Best Christmas Eve decision I ever made." Preston smiled, squeezing her hand tightly. Outside, snow began to fall over Denver, blanketing the city in pure white. Inside the small house, a real family celebrated. And to Preston, that made all the difference. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs a little hope today, and subscribe for more heartfelt stories that remind us kindness can change lives. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next story.